what was the general consensus strolling around the owners' meeting about what's going to happen at the top of the draft in a month?
Yeah, I would say, I obviously everybody knows what's going to happen at number one. So Caleb Williams goes first, and there's some conflicting information out there on what the Commanders are going to do at two. I would say there's very little talk that they would trade out. So, like one way or the other, I think it's going to be a quarterback. The name I continue to hear the most is Jaden Daniels, but again, I don't feel like I can say as strongly that it'll be Jaden Daniels as I can the Bears will be Caleb Williams. So, I think it was you got 1-2 quarterback. And then I think the Patriots are in an interesting spot because the Bears at least know what they're looking at, and the Patriots don't yet. So let's say they like one of the top four or two of the top four quarterbacks, but not three. Then would they entertain a trade out? The Vikings have been linked to Drake May for obvious reasons. Josh McCown's on that staff. He coached Drake in high school. Drake played with his son in high school. So they've known each other going back a lot of years. So if it went Jaden 2 and the Patriots weren't in love with Drake at 3, I think they would entertain him move out. Now, I don't know. They may be head over heels for Drake. It's possible. I still think the likelihood is they take a quarterback at 3. And to me, that's where things get interesting because I think if the three teams at the top stick, then I think we probably get quarterbacks 1, 2, 3, 4 for the first time ever. I think if the Patriots trade out, maybe the urgency to get up to 4 dissipates a little bit, but I still think JJ McCarthy would go somewhere within the top 6. So I don't think JJ is going to fall very far, but I don't think it's a sure thing yet that quarterbacks go 1, 2, 3, 4. And who knows? I mean, maybe, one of the team at, the Commanders, the Patriots, someone likes JJ more than the other guys. I'm not there yet on that.
Because also, the idea that Bob Kraft would say, I'm leaving it up to the decision makers. I'm a delegator. That's the way things go here in New England. And so, but I really would love a young quarterback around here. That's a thumb on the scale, isn't it? I mean, that's a big time.
Yeah, I mean, we always know what it is, Rich. Like, what your boss wants, and like sometimes it doesn't take them coming in the office and telling you exactly what to do when you do know. And the other thing that's sort of interesting about it is the guy who's heading up the personnel department and is ostensibly going to have, authority over the 3rd overall pick is a guy who doesn't know what his title is going to be after the draft, right? Is he going to be the general manager? Are they going to bring in somebody over the top of him? So, if you're in a position where you want to please your boss and you want to become the general manager and you want everything that goes with that, you might be prone to lean towards what your boss wants. So all that stuff can go into it. The Patriots have a lot of holes. And I've thought all along, the smart thing for them to do is to look at this and say, is there someone out there who will get us in the club? And by the club, I mean behind the velvet rope with Cincinnati, with Kansas City, with Baltimore, with Buffalo, with the Chargers, right, in the AFC. With that group of teams, there's just somebody who will get you inside of that club. And if the answer is yes, then you take them and you worry about the rest later. If you don't think that that person is there, well, you've got too many holes on your roster to support a flawed young quarterback, right? So I think at that point, you really have to consider the idea of moving out and maybe trying to take care of both the tackle and receiver positions in this year's draft. So they're in an interesting position just because I do think, it's well known out there what the owner seems to want. And, the guy who's the top personnel guy there isn't guaranteed of having anything past the draft. But the roster's got plenty of holes. And so it would take some cojones, I'd say, to not take a quarterback there. But Elliott's pretty principled, and I think we all know he comes from good bloodlines and has great background having worked in that Packer organization. So, I wouldn't rule out him doing his own thing there either.
Plus, I mean, like, let's just say they fall in love with McCarthy, right?
Yeah.
And May. Let's just say they love all 4 of them. They're like, we'll take 4 of them. And then they'll just maybe roll the dice and trade with the Giants, who might trade up for one of them, right? Because it just strikes me, the reason why I mentioned this, Albert, is because it strikes me, if you're New England, why would you move out down to 11? I don't think the Vikings are high enough yet. I feel like there needs to be one more leap for the Vikings to make prior to the draft for them to leap up in time for the draft. I kind of get that sense.
Let's say it's JJ. Right? Like, let's say they love JJ. All right. So then do you potentially move down and back up like Arizona did last year? Like you remember Arizona last year, you're sitting there on that stage and how Monty Fort and Jonathan Gannon maneuvered around the board, right? They started the night at 3. My understanding is they would have taken Paris Johnson, the offensive tackle from Ohio State there. They wind up trading down to 12 with Houston and then back up to 6. They pick up a ton of capital and they get Paris Johnson at 6, in the end anyway. So do you try something like that? The problem is the risk is that you lose a player when you're doing that, so you almost have to have it set up beforehand where it's like, okay, we're going to trade down to with Minnesota, and then we're going to have a deal in place with Arizona or the Chargers or the Giants or someone that puts us in front of the other quarterback needy teams. I mean, to me, there are 4 teams right now in the top 12 that I think have done their research that aren't in the top 3 on trading up, right? Those 4 teams are at 6, the Giants, at 7, the Raiders, at 11, the Vikings, and at 12, the Broncos. So if you are going to try maybe that trade down and back up scenario, you have to be leery about what all of those teams are going to do, which makes, I think, the way the quarterbacks come off the board really fascinating here. And the presence of JJ McCarthy, kind of like one of these real intriguing points of, how the first 6 or 7 picks are going to go.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.